What's up everyone, welcome to the video. We are here breaking down the Bass Pro Shops night race at my favorite track, Bristol Motor Speedway. Really looking forward to this race. We have 500 laps, so gonna be a fun one of the marquee races of the season. And as you can notice, not my usual backdrop here. I am traveling, I am in Ohio this weekend, so unfortunately not in the home base, don't have the computer, only have my laptop, and don't have my recording equipment that I normally would have, so hopefully this video isn't too rough looking. And go figure, I always have the Bristol in the background for my videos, and now that we're finally at Bristol on the concrete, I don't have it in the background. So oh well, but still looking forward to it. Should be absolutely awesome. And if you are brand new here, which I doubt you are because we are now into football season, but I am Chris Pennell. I break down NASCAR, DFS, and NFL each and every single weekend on this channel. If you want to check out the NFL content, they post a couple of videos for this weekend's slate, also covering the showdowns as well. And if you do end up enjoying today's free content, the only thing I ask in return is you can leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are brand new, and hit that bell so you get notified whenever I post new content. And feel free to leave a comment down below, agreeing or disagreeing with anything I say throughout the duration of today's video, or if you want to tell me hi or I suck. You are certainly free to do just that because I cannot stop you. And don't forget to check out the sponsor of the show, Prize Picks, because they do make these videos possible. And as of right now, if you're a new signee over on the site, you can use promo code CPEN, take advantage of the instant deposit match bonus deal they have going on. There's no strings attached. It's up to $100 and it's free money. Please use it to your advantage in the link down below or head over to prizepicks.com. Make sure you use promo code CPEN when you do say signed up. I think that's all for the plug, so without further ado, let's get into the preview of this week's race. And as previously mentioned, this is your Bass Pro Shops night race at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's a short concrete oval. There's your outline of the track, very small in nature, about a half mile in length. And I do apologize, you're gonna have to deal with my big background here. Don't have the green screen, so hopefully it's not too obnoxious. Don't have my usual recording equipment. But 500 laps, that's 350 Dominator points available. So yes, they are going to be the single most important thing in lineups this weekend. I don't care if there's good place differential plays. You need to prioritize guys that can lead laps over that. I mean, these laps are going to tick off quite quickly. I mean, it's a very small track and it's a fast track too. You can make lap times in just about 15 seconds. So they're going to go by quite quickly. So anybody up front that gets up front, yeah, those points are going to add up quickly. So yeah, I'm going to want at least 2 Dominators per lineup, but to be honest, you're probably looking at anywhere from 2 to 4. And we do have Eric Almirola on the pole, and if you think he could be a Dominator, you can easily fit in about 4 if you want to. So many ways we can go here, but Dominators need to be a focal point of your lineups this weekend at Bristol. And if you're wondering my overall thoughts on the pricing this weekend, seems kind of soft for a 500 lap race, 5 drivers in the 5-figure range, 3 10K and 2 in the $11,000 range. And if you're a big fan of Almirola on the pole, he's pretty cheap and he opens up these slates. I don't really think pricing is too difficult this weekend. And like I said, it's been a bit of a travel week for me. I was not able to watch practice and qualify. I was keeping up with the numbers. So we're kind of going to be going through this together for the first time. The more updated and polished thoughts will be on the Patreon. So kind of excited to see how this slate really shakes out here. And I do want to mention that Group 2 seemed to have a faster track in practice. So we'll kind of talk about who was fastest in each group here, because it looks like, based off some of the numbers I'm seeing, that Group 2 did have some overall faster speeds. So maybe some of these guys in Group 1 that didn't show a ton of speed aren't going to be as bad during the race, if that makes some sense. Although there is a few outliers mixed in here or there. And if you do want access to the sheet that I show you for guys for free, a little preview of it for free on YouTube, there's lots more that go to it than what I show you guys. Link can be found down below in the description for that. Also cover NFL for all slates, including the showdown slates, projections, optimizer, ownership projections, data sheets, Discord community, all that fun stuff. If you want to come in, check it out. You know where to find it. Link is down below. But let's get into it here. We are talking Bristol. This is a night race on Saturday, so if you're watching this on Sunday, I'm sorry, but you missed it, unless there happened to be rain, which I certainly hope there was not. But we have Denny Hamlin up top, the most expensive driver on both sites. He was the odds-on favorite to win this race when odds opened, I believe, on, Tuesday or Wednesday. And after practice and qualifying, which I do have the updated odds, because I am recording this video a little bit later than normal, he still has the best odds to win this race. I think he opened at plus 600, now he's at plus 550. He qualified 4th and swept practice. He was in Group 2, though, which, again, I guess had a bit of a faster track, but it's still Denny Hamlin at Bristol. He's always going to be a threat. First in the 1 lap, first in the 5 lap, first in the 10 lap. Didn't get a super long run for him, although we did get a lot of drivers that did that because, super short track, so it's pretty easy to put down a lot of laps. So Denny Hamlin definitely going to be a factor here. Does have a win here over the past couple of seasons. A good chunk of dominator points. He finished 6th at Nashville early in the year and 21st at Dover. And the reason I have those two tracks on here is just because of the two concrete surfaces that we have. I don't really think Nashville is a big indicator of what we'll see at Bristol because it's not really a steep track or anything. I would say Dover is the best comparison to it, but that's only a one race sample size. Although we did see some drivers that were really good at Dover ended up doing well at Nashville too. So I'm not going to try to draw too many conclusions from it. I just simply have it there because it is a concrete surface. And if you're looking at Hamlin this year, 13 race sample size, which it's not just specifically this season, it's really just Dover and Bristol over the past few years. So we're not really dealing with too many similar tracks as far as the numbers are concerned, especially for the year of 2022 and the next gen cars. So I hate to really look at this kind of stuff too much because I don't really think it's going to be too relevant. But if you're just wondering what kind of numbers are on the screen, just to be transparent, that's what it is. And then we have the 2022 numbers in general, excluding road courses and super speedway. So we really can't look at track type form or anything because Bristol is a very unique track. Dover is definitely our best comparison because I always call it Bristol's bigger brother. It's just a 1 mile track compared to a half mile, but it's a steep concrete oval, although Dover does have some decent tire wear as well. Chase Elliott, $11,200. He is really good at Bristol. He's really good on the concrete surfaces. Actually won both races at them this year. Wasn't super fast in practice, but he was in Group 1, which if you kind of filter his numbers from Group 1 instead of Group 2, it does look a lot better. So I'm not going to be overly concerned about the practice speeds. I don't see a reason why he's just going to somehow suck at Bristol when he's one of the best drivers here over the past few seasons with the best average running position, the best drive rating. Doesn't have a win under his belt, but a good chunk of dominator points, the second most laps led per race. Don't really see why Chase Elliott can't be a contender here. And like I said, has won at both concrete surfaces. So I'm going to call him Concrete Chase this weekend. I'll definitely get some exposure. And he's starting in 23rd. I know he's kind of expensive when you're looking for lap leaders at these price points, but if you pair him with a couple drivers starting closer to the front, as long as he makes his way up by stage 2 or stage 3, you get that PD upside mixed in, and it could be a potential dominator as well. So I do like Chase Elliott quite a bit. I don't know how he's going to stack up as far as being a cash game player or not, because I have not had time to run projections yet or ownership projections, but I have to imagine he's going to project one of the best drivers on the slate here. So I'm definitely going to be a fan. Kyle Larson, $10,800. He is starting in 5th. Like, if you want to pair Elliott with Larson, I think that's fine, and they have good correlation because they're two Hendrick drivers, and if one has speed, I feel like the other won't be too far off. But Larson was super fast in practice, and he was also in Group 1, which I guess wasn't as quick overall, so pretty impressive the speed that he had. He made a long run. He said he liked his car. First in the 15, first in the 20, first in the 25, first in the 30. Overall, just some really strong numbers, and he's very good at Bristol. He won me a GPP at Bristol many, many years ago. I think it was like back in 2018 or something. I forget. But a good chunk of dominator points here. Finished 4th at Nashville early in the year and 6th at Dover. Definitely going to be on my radar here as a top dominator, although every single time I play Kyle Larson, he tends to disappoint me, but I'm going to go back to the well here. Looks like he's got the second best odds to win this race in Vegas after practice and qualifying. Kyle Busch, $10,500, starting in 21st. He is a very, very similar play to Chase Elliott. He is excellent at Bristol, one of the best tracks in all of NASCAR for Kyle Busch. Has a win here recently, 4 top 5s, good chunk of dominator points. Finished 7th at Dover early in the year, and I know we finished 21st in Nashville, but you got to remember the JGR cars were absolutely killing it, and then they pitted at the end and absolutely nuked their final finish. Same can be said for Martin Truex Jr. with his 22nd place finish, but Kyle Busch was awesome here early in the year. Obviously good at Dover as well, great at Bristol. Practice speeds look pretty strong. I think he's a great play. If you can't quite afford Chase Elliott, I think Kyle Busch is basically the same thing here at a $700 discount, so I like both quite a bit. Christopher Bell finally creeped into that 10K range, but it's probably deserved. The guy has been absolutely awesome recently, and just overall this year, he's been great at getting good finishes. He was also in Group 1, but showed a lot of speed in practice, 6th in the 1 lap, 5th in the 5, 4th in the 10, and then top 10 across the board, and Bristol has not been a terrible track for him. Finish-wise, average finish of 22nd, it's not great, but he typically runs well. Finished 4th at Dover early in the year, 8th at Nashville, should be a top 10 contender, but at his price point starting in 8th, we're going to need fast laps mixed in there, might need some lap sled as well, depending on what some other drivers do in this price range, so he's only a tournament target for me, but certainly a guy I could see rostering. Dropping down to the 9K range, Tyler Reddick, $9,900. He's starting in 17th, was absolutely awful in practice, but it looks like he was in Group 1, so maybe we can give him a little bit of a pass there, but he was pretty darn slow, and he was really bad at Dover early in the year. The RCR cars were really slow, and I remember playing them specifically at Dover. Both he and Austin Dillon, both guys were so slow. It really sucks. So I'm not a huge fan of Reddick here, especially at a $10,000 price point, starting in 17th. I can't really see him getting up front. Yes, he has some place differential upside, but I just really kind of see him being not much better than a 12th place car in this race once the days end. So 10K probably going to be a pass there. Martin Truex Jr., $9,700. He's starting in 22nd. Bristol has never been an amazing track for him, like just finish-wise, I should say. He's had some decent runs here. He's been able to get up front a little bit, only 9.5 laps left per race, but the fast laps are much better, and he's really good at Dover, like really good there, and he was good at Nashville in the year as well. So 2 concrete surfaces that he has been good at. It's just he was really slow in practice, but he was in the first group, which is a little bit slower, so I can give him a little bit of a pass there at $9,700. Like, I'd rather play Truex over Reddick. I know some of these practice speeds were a little bit worse, but Truex has been fast this year. I know sometimes the finishes aren't there. He's just had a lot of bad luck. Nothing you can really do about it, but since he's so good at Dover, I have to have some interest here at Bristol, but probably going to be a tournament target for me. I'll have to see how roster construction goes, because I could see making a case for Truex in 22nd, because I don't want to call him the same play as Busch or Elliott, but he's in the same, kind of in that same grouping where they're a hybrid place differential, hybrid dom guy, but I'm just not sure exactly how fast he's going to be in this race. It'll be interesting to see if those Group 1 guys can actually show a lot more speed, since they're going to be on even playing field for that. Joey Logano, $9,500. Dirt cheap on FanDuel. I mean, same thing for Truex. I think these guys are great plays over on FanDuel. He's starting in 15th. Looks like he was in the faster group, but I've always been a big fan of Logano at Bristol. He's been good at the short tracks this year. Definitely been able to put up some dominator points. Look at his numbers at Bristol. Does not have a win recently, but a couple top 5s mixed in there and some good dominator points as well. Finished 9th at Nashville. Early in the season, finished 29th at Dover, which obviously isn't great, but I'm a fan at this price point. Only going to be a tournament target, but over on FanDuel, that's a really nice price point. So I probably like him more on FanDuel than I do on DK, but fine either way. This is not going to be a core play for me, but he's someone I'm going to get exposure to in tournaments, and he did have a fast practice. Ross Chastain, this is the cheapest he's been in a while, only $9,200. He is starting in 12th, was fast at Dover early in the season. Didn't really have a ton of speed in practice. And overall, if you're looking at some of his finishes, the concrete tracks, though, 5th at Nashville, 3rd at Dover. It's intriguing in tournaments, although it just doesn't seem like he's got the same amount of speed as some of these other teams. Like JGR has definitely been a step above a guy like Ross Chastain recently. So at $9,200, he's definitely back in play for me. If he was above $10,000, I'd probably shy away a little bit. But at this price point on both sites, I can get to him in tournaments, but not going to be a cash game play for me. Dropping down to the 8K range, Ryan Blaney, $8,900, up to $11K over on FanDuel. He's starting in 6th. Might be a bit of a sneaky play here. I mean, the price point's nice enough to where maybe it gets up there a little bit. Again, I've not yet ran my ownership projections, but he did have a pretty solid practice. I'm trying to see if he was not in Group 2, so that's even more impressive that he was faster in practice. This has been a great track for him as far as just running well and getting up front and dominating, although a couple of times the finishes haven't been there just due to bad luck when he was leading the race. But 2 top 5s recently, one of the best driver ratings, 4 top 10s, 64 laps led per race, which is actually second best, only behind Chase Elliott, even better than Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. And he finished 3rd at Nashville in the season, but 26th at Dover. But this is a very unique track. If you're good at Bristol, you're probably going to be good during this race. And below 9K for a potential dominator, yeah, I'll take Ryan Blaney in tournaments for sure. William Byron, $8,700. He's starting in 16th. Practice wasn't too bad for him. He does have a top 5 at Bristol. Has never really been a dominator. And 35th at Nashville and 22nd at Dover. But I think he's fine. He's a pivot off of Blaney. I could almost see Blaney being higher owned just because of the track history he has at Bristol. And I think he's got a better chance of getting up front, but I wouldn't shy away from William Byron. And at this price point, you could probably fit him in the same lineup as guys like Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott if you want to go for the full Hendrick stack. So I'm not like in love with William Byron, but I can understand the play here. And it looks like he was in practice in Group 2, so maybe the practice speeds aren't as good as they really are. And even then, they weren't super amazing. 15th, 14th, 11th, and 9th. He's an intriguing play, but I think I'd rather get to Ryan Blaney. I think he's got a better chance of dominating. I think Kevin Harvick probably has a better chance of dominating. $8,500, he is dirt cheap. 12K over on FanDuel. He's starting in 7th, though. decent odds to win this race is compared to where he's priced, where these other guys are. And he had a pretty strong practice, really good in the long run. Second in the 15 lap, second in the 20, second in the 25, and second in the 30. He was in Group 2, so maybe he's a little bit faster than what he really is, but he killed this race last year. And Bristol's not a bad track for him. He won 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, a good chunk of Dominator points. I think at this price point, I'm certainly going to have to get some exposure here. A little bit tougher to get to him on FanDuel at $12K, but on DK, $8,500. Like, there's so many cheap potential dominators on this slate where I really think it's quite flexible and you can kind of go with whatever build you want. So I'm definitely a fan of Harvick here at that price point. Should be able to get some dominator points. It's just for where he's starting, I'm not going to say he has to dominate, but if there's a place differential play similar to a guy like Dino Suarez at 29th, if Kevin Harvick doesn't dominate and both these guys finish somewhat similar, I'm not really expecting that. I would side with Kevin Harvick there, but just know that there's extra risk with him just because of where he's starting. But I think the price point kind of negates that a little bit. Bubba Wallace, $8,300. He's starting in 14th, fresh off a win at Kansas, and you can't say Bubba lucked into that win with a rain delay or anything. He just straight up legit won that race. He had a lot of speed. He looked really good. Starting in 14th here, Bristol has not been a bad track for Bubba. Wasn't super fast in practice, but he does have a top 10 and a top 15 mixed in. This is obviously the best equipment he's been in. Finished 12th at Nashville in the season, 16th at Dover. I don't mind him as a tournament play. I think more people go with Kevin Harvick because of the name value, and I would definitely side with Kevin Harvick as well. But if you're looking for a pivot, I mean, Wallace has been on fire recently, it seems, and I don't hate it. Alex Bowman, $8,200. He's starting in third, same price on both sites. Was not bad in practice. Had a good race last week. He was fast, got up front. I think he scored, 80 plus dominator points starting in third. Not really expecting it again, but he does have the chance to be able to get up front and dominate. I'd probably prefer playing Bowman over Bubba Wallace just because of the extra dominator points. And it does not take much to rack up points in a hurry. Like, if just Bowman can kind of get a good restart in one of these and just have good pit stops and stay within the top 3, he's probably going to pick up some fast laps here and there. If he gets up front, that can lead to a very good day in tournaments, so I don't mind him there. Dino Suarez was super slow in practice. He's starting in 29. The price point's nice. I can see people going there. But to be honest, I think in tournaments, I would rather side with guys like Kevin Harvick, side with Alex Bowman just because they have more dominator upside. And I wasn't a huge fan of what I saw from Dino Suarez. If you're looking at what he's done at similar tracks this year, and I hate to call them similar, but the 2 concrete surfaces, 15th at Nashville, 14th at Dover. If he finishes 14th like he did at Dover, that's fine. It's just in a tournament, I'm not sure it's going to be enough if a guy like a Bowman or a Kevin Harvick end up dominating, because they'll definitely be the better play in this price range. And you have 2 similar plays here with Erik Jones and Austin Dillon right behind or right below Dino Suarez. So that's why I don't really think he's a must play or anything, because Jones, I feel like, has very similar upside to Suarez starting in 24th, because this has been a good track for him. He was faster in practice, and average finish of 11.2 here. Past few seasons, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 11th at Nashville, 10th at Dover. I think Erik Jones is a pretty good play. I'll certainly have a lot of exposure to him. Austin Dillon, $7,700. Like I mentioned earlier, the RCR cars at Dover were absolutely horrendous, and they were bad in practice. I was willing to look past it, but they were just really bad during the race, and they're really bad in practice for this race, and I could see it happening once again. I'm just kind of getting deja vu from Dover, so I'm probably not going to have too much Austin Dillon. I would rather play Erik Jones. I think he's going to have more speed. Chase Briscoe starting in the front row with Eric Almirola. It's a very weird sounding front row for Bristol, but it is what it is. Didn't really blow me away in practice or anything. Just didn't really show a lead speed. If you're looking at his finishes at Bristol, does have a top 15, but that's really about it. 34th at Nashville, 13th at Dover. I really only see Chase Briscoe working out if he gets the lead at the start of the race over Almirola. Outside of that, he's going to fall back. Can't really see him dominating, so I probably won't have too much Chase Briscoe. Austin Syndrick, very fast in the early run, second the 1 and 5 lap, and then 34th in the 10 laps. I'm going to assume something happened there. I don't think he just randomly became the slowest car on the track. Finished 7th at Nashville in the season. Issue at Dover where he finished 36th. He's just, again, it's the same old story with Syndrick where he's in that low 7K, mid 7K price range. He qualified in the top 10, but he probably just fades out and finishes around 15th, which is not going to get the job done. I'd rather play Ty Gibbs, who's starting in 25th. He's $7,200. Practice wasn't amazing, but you at least have the extra PD upside in there. I think he was doing well in the Bristol Xfinity race, and then he ended up wrecking out. I want to say he was like 60% owned or something. I don't know exactly what happened, but I have to imagine Ty Gibbs is going to improve upon the starting position, so I will play some Ty Gibbs. It's just for $200 less, I can get a guy with dominator upside at $7,000, so I'll definitely rather go there. Even in cash games, I think we should play Aric Almirola in cash. He's only $7,000, because if he comes out and leads 80 laps, it doesn't take much to lead 80 laps here at Bristol. He's probably going to be optimal with $7,000, and if you're playing cash and you miss out on that, that's a really tough way to fight back, and I don't want to have to do that. So I would just probably play Aric Almirola in cash. It's not going to eat too much of your salary, and you get a potential dominator, so I don't see really too much downside to it. He was also pretty fast in practice as well. Just have a top 5 at Bristol. In the past, not really an amazing track form or anything. It's just really all about leading some laps early on and just please finish inside the top 10. So I like Almirola for that. Maybe he's going to be a little bit too high owned in tournaments. I'll have to see how ownership projections shake out, but he's obviously not going to lead the entire race. Someone's going to come and take him. And if it's really early, he'll be looking good in tournaments. Dropping down to the 6K range, Ricky Stenhouse, $6,800. I've had my eye on him all weekend. He's really good at the steep tracks, starting in 26. Didn't kill it in practice. Must have missed something here on the one lap. I'll get that fixed, but I don't want to go back and fix it right now. I want to get this video out as quick as possible. I know the finishes have not been there for him at Bristol. Average finish of 30.7, and average running position hasn't exactly been great as well. But good to steep tracks this year. 16th in Nashville, 2nd at Dover early in the year. I'm a fan at this price point, starting at 26. I like him. It's just, in cash games, I'd probably side with Almirola there to get the lap sled points early on, hopefully. But Stenhouse is a fine option as well. Chris Buescher, $6,600. He's starting in 20th. I'd probably rather play Stenhouse, although Buescher did not show bad speed in practice. Top 12 across the board here. Looking at some of his finishes this year, finished 8th at Dover, which is nice because I think that should correlate to a degree. 30th in Nashville, but I'm not as concerned about Nashville as I am about Dover, so I think Buescher's all right. I mean, I'm not going to say he's an amazing play, but he's not terrible either. Brad Kaslowski, $6,400. This has always been a good track for him, but that was in Penske equipment. Now with RFK, you have to imagine he's not going to be too far off of Chris Buescher, although sometimes, I remember the one race, Brad Kaslowski was so much faster than Buescher. I forget which track it was at. I want to say potentially Darlington, where Kaslowski had a really fast car and Buescher just absolutely sucks. So sometimes you get interchanged a little bit, but Kaslowski was fast in practice, top 10 pretty much across the board. I think he's a fine tournament play because people aren't going to play him starting in 10th, but there is upside there. It's just he's probably not going to be able to fall back to be optimal. You're going to need some fast laps mixed in there, and you're probably going to need a top 8 finish. So I'm talking very limited exposure here, but do not full fade him in tournaments. Michael McDowell is probably a guy we can get away from. Wasn't super fast in practice. 17th at Dover. 13th at Nashville was nice, but I think we need some more upside here starting in 18th. AJ Almendinger, super fast in practice. Pretty surprised about that. Was 5th in the 1 lap, 3rd in the 5, 2nd in the 10, 8th in the 15. I'm not sure how real the speed's going to be during the race, but at his price point, it's probably worth a few stabs here at Bristol, because if he can finish in the top 10 and some of the issues happen to these other guys, like say Ricky Stenhouse crashes or something, Aric Almirola loses the lead early on, and all these other guys fail, I could see Dinger not being the worst pump play in the world. Justin Haley at $6,000, didn't show really elite speed or anything in practice, top 20 in the early run, then fell off later we got. Obviously some of these numbers are in poor equipment, but did finish 11th at Dover early in the season. I hate to keep saying the same thing, but they're all kind of similar plays here, where he's not an amazing play, he's not a great play, he's not a terrible play either, so he kind of falls right in between. It's really going to be one of those guys where if he falls in line with the optimizer, if he gives me 10%, I'll take it. If he gives me 15%, I'll take it. But if he gives me 5, I'll also take that. So I'm not really sure what to do with Haley, but kind of in between guy for me. Cole Custer, $5,900. He's starting at 11th. Showed some decent speed in practice. 9th in the 1 lap, 7th in the 5 in the long run. Wasn't too bad either. It's just he's starting so far up front. It's going to be really hard to pull the trigger on Cole Custer. You just really have to hope that it's tough to pass. But I really see his upside being a top 15 day, which is going to be losing spots. I'd rather play Ty Dillon. I think he'll be a decently popular play starting all the way back in 34th. Obviously got awful in practice, but if he just avoids attrition, which there's probably going to be some spinouts and wrecks at Bristol, if he can just avoid those and grab a top 25, that gets the job done at $5,700, and you can fit in multiple dominators, so I'm okay with that. Burton starting a little bit high up. I'd rather play Ty Dillon, but showed a little bit more speed in practice. Gillen's going to be slow. It's just really all comes down to avoiding attrition for these guys, and if they can gain 5 to 8 spots, that's when they become viable. Or if you just need to throw them on there and you just nail your dominators, that can work as well. LaJoy, maybe. He's 22nd in practice, 19, 17, 16th. If we're looking at what he did at the 2 concrete surfaces this year, finished 20th and 18th. It's not bad. So he might actually have a little bit more upside than guys like Gilliland and Harrison Burton here. Maybe not as safe as Ty Dillon, but I don't think LaJoie is the worst pump play in the world. Then after that, just not going to play these guys. No Cody Ware, no Yaley, no McLeod. And Lennon Castle, last time I looked, did not have a DK price tag. They had Josh Bilicki in there. He's $4,900, so if they just give him the $4,900 price tag, sure. Or maybe he's not even on the slate. I'm not really sure either, but he's not going to be on my slate either way because I'm not playing him. But yeah, below LaJoie, I have no interest though. But that being said, that's all I got for you guys this weekend. Hopefully this video wasn't too terrible. I know it's a little makeshift here. It might not have been the best quality as usual, so I do apologize about that. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them because obviously no live stream and had to put this video together kind of quick because I had to record at like 9:30 p.m. Practice and qualifying got done a lot earlier. So I do apologize for getting the video out a little bit later. But hopefully it was helpful. If it was in any way possible, cut me some slack this week because of the conditions where you're in. Leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. Updated stuff will be on the Patreon. Check out Prize Picks. Use promo code CPEN if you want. Helps us both out. Check out the NFL content if you haven't yet already, but I will stop rambling. I wish you all the best of luck, and I cannot wait for this race.